Did you know that only 25% of what you eat actually contributes to weight gain? Yeah, amazing, right? So what's going on with the rest of the 75%? Well, I'm about to tell you all about what's going on in that 75% in 7 awesome tips that bring you the cheapest way, as in they're totally free, and the easiest way to fix problems like digestive issues, maybe like reflux or bloating. It's going to help with increasing energy and decreasing stress. And of course, it's going to help with weight loss. Maybe I should introduce myself. My name is Sally, and in this particular video, I'm going to be just going through tip number 1. No, not all 7 tips, because there's just way too much information. So check out in my other videos the remaining 6. But today, number 1. And before we get right into all the nitty-gritty of this particular tip, why don't you just go down there and click subscribe and see the little grey bell. If you click that as well, every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. And I'm sure it's going to be as awesome and cool as this video right now. So are you ready? Let's go. Let's get into this. All right. Tip number 1 of how to lose weight without going to the gym and without changing what you eat is all about what I call the 20-minute meal. And it's awesome because you get to eat whatever you want. Like, how good is that, right? So here's how it works. The first thing you're going to do is the next time you take a meal, you're going to have a look at the clock or have a look at your watch and make note of the time, and then just do everything that you normally would. Eat the meal at the same pace, do everything the same. And then at the end of the meal, just have a look at the clock again and take note of how long that took you to eat the meal. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you. When I first did this, mine was like 5 minutes and that's it. And I have no idea how I got through that meal in 5 minutes. I don't think I was breathing. Although my partner, my man, Tony, it was like 3 minutes for him. So that made me feel a whole lot better. And I just don't want you to worry about how little time it took. But I do want you to remember that. And then the next time you go for a meal, what we're going to do is we're going to add 5 minutes on. So the next meal you have, you're going to do the same thing. Have a look at your watch, add 5 minutes on. So for me, it'll be like 10 minutes. I'm aiming for a 10-minute meal. Tony's aiming for an 8-minute meal. And then we just keep doing that as your meals roll out until you get to 20 minutes. Now, there's a whole reason why it needs to be 20 minutes. I'm going to go into that a little later on. But for now, I'm sure you're wondering, how on earth are we going to stretch this out from maybe 3 minutes to 20? Here are some tips on how to do that. If you're eating a meal that requires utensils like a knife and fork or a spoon or some chopsticks, try putting down the utensils 3 times throughout the meal. That's just going to give you a little bit of relax time, a little bit of a rest. You can engage in the conversation a little bit more on the table, or just sit back and chew. Another thing that you could do is use a beverage, so like a glass of water to drink at the beginning of the meal, all throughout and at the end. And breathing is really important as well. So you can breathe and think about breathing as you're chewing, which is going to slow your chewing down, which is really, really good, because the slower the chewing, the more we chew, and the less energy it takes to digest. So that's a really great benefit for lots of chewing. Anyway, so the other thing you could do is, if you're at a party or in a social situation, don't tell anybody about it, but you could try to be the last one to finish your meal. So there are some ways to help stretch the 20 minutes out. But why is it 20 and not 15 or not 30 and not 40? Well, it takes your body 20 minutes to actually start to realize when it's full. I know. Have a think about that. Let's talk about that. If you're scoffing and you, like I was when I had my 5-minute meal, my body doesn't even know that it's full until 20 minutes. So there's this 15-minute gap. And normally what happens in that gap is I continue eating until I hit the 20 minutes. And in that gap is when I'm overeating. And overeaters are generally overweighters. So we don't want to do that. So we want to give our body time to feel and time to register that we're actually full. And when you are stretching this meal out, here's some of the things that might end up happening for you. You will probably discover that you are naturally chewing slower, so to help that digestion, okay, less energy in digesting, more energy for you later on. Awesome. The other thing that you might find is that you're actually tasting and enjoying your meal more. And why is that? Because you're just going a whole lot slower. So that's cool too. You'll probably feel a whole lot better purely because you're not scoffing anymore. And if you're finding that you've got reflux, lengthening it out will either reduce the reflux or get rid of it entirely, which is fantastic. And you're also going to give your body time to register that fullness. So the last step in the 20-minute meal is to try and make every single one of your meals a 20-minute meal. Yes. Are you going no? Are you thinking, I don't even take a lunch break? I don't have time for anything like that? Okay, well, if that is you, then I'm going to tell you exactly what I say for the rest of my clients, my health coaching clients. And I say to them, if having a lunch break that's 20 minutes long is the one thing that makes the difference to you starting to lose weight, starting to get rid of your reflux or your digestive bloating or whatever it is, if it's that one crucial thing, then are you prepared to just give it a go for just 1 week? Yeah. So you know what? Even if you manage to go from a 3-minute meal into like a 10-minute meal, that's awesome. It's not an all or nothing situation. It's not a 20-minute meal or nothing. If you can manage just 10 minutes, that's just fantastic. And you know what? That's totally enough. Because this is really about creating new changes, creating new habits and rituals, about showing up for yourself in a way that you haven't before, making small changes to get big results. You know, those small hinges for big doors? I love saying that. So why don't you try something new to trigger a big change? And I'm like super curious to find out if you are actually willing to take this challenge on for the 20-minute meal. So write a comment below. Okay. So if you're anything like me and you're thinking like, I'm just going to binge on all 7 tips like right now, because that's exactly what I would want to do, don't do it. Don't do it at all. Just let this one absorb in. Just take this one challenge, this one tip, the 20-minute meal for this 1 week. Maybe put a reminder in your phone to come back in a week's time for tip number 2. So that just gives you time to absorb and it gives you time to download for maximum results. And you know what? I'm going to see you in 7 days' time for tip number 2. Bye.